You're listening to the Actors Resource Podcast with Aaliyah Lay, a podcast for actors and improvisers with interviews from entertainment industry experts.
Our guest today is Roxanna Lewis. Roxanna Lewis is an award-winning film director. Her creative approach to filmmaking originates from her deep roots as a theatrical director and choreographer. Her work has been presented across the US and beyond, from Broadway to Lincoln Center Out of Doors to the Department of Agriculture in Washington, D.C., performances for international dignitaries and audiences in the US, Europe, and Asia. Her career has also led her to work with individuals who happen to be amputees, paraplegic, wheelchair users, deafblind, neurodiverse, and neurotypical. As an award-winning film director, Roxanna directed The Crossing, The Shift, I Didn't Know, Hear Me, My Third Body, and Multimedia String Theory, which premiered at the Edinburgh Fringe Festival with Mandy's voice, currently in post-production. She's worked on additional projects with Island Records, SONY UK, Mpress Records, CNN.com, Discovery Channel, Showtime, Mindless Entertainment, DNA Productions, the Revolver Film Company, and Kylo Productions. Roxanna is also founder, CDO of Roxxiedanz Productions, Inc., a boutique film and commercial production company that develops scripted and non-scripted TV series, documentaries, and short-form content celebrating underrepresented voices, female-forward content, diversity, and inclusivity. Okay, that was an amazing bio, Roxanna.
You need like a tongue break. You need to, you get a break.
I know, my tongue like twisted, and I just hope.
Who wrote that?
Well, just thank you so much for being here. Really grateful to have you here and sharing your story with us today.
Happy to be here with you. I am happy to do some playing together. What do we want to talk about? What do we want to play with?
Yes. Well, we're going to play with success stories or success journeys. And again, I repeat this often, but just in case someone's new, the idea of success, the definition, I'm basing it on Earl Nightingale's definition of success, which is the progressive realization toward a worthy ideal. And that worthy ideal is your own personal goal, whatever that means to you. So in addition to the fact that you are already successful because you're already going after your worthy ideal, which I'm going to ask you about in a little bit, but also definitely want to acknowledge and showcase your achievements as well, because those are things to be proud of as well. So the achievements are wonderful. But first, okay, how did you get started?
So I think it's really interesting to tie that into success. So I started as a very ambitious little dancer. I was really lucky because my mom put me into Tahitian and West African and flamenco and Polynesian stick dancing and very lesser known sort of dance techniques, we'll say. And I love that she really purposely immersed me in cultural experiences and said, this is dance and this is life. And then after a few years of just really getting to experience the love of music and movement and understanding that it was connected to something much larger, which now I'll maybe classify as not just culture, but communication. And then I fell in love with just wanting to move all the time. So I thought I'd wanted to become a little ballerina, and I kind of trained up the ABT pipeline.
Yeah.
And I ended up getting into a school for the arts in DC, Duke Ellington School for the Arts, and ultimately became a modern dancer. And I was injured my senior year. So it's kind of fortunate that I became a choreographer. And so my jobs coming out of school, my day jobs were actually choreography gigs. And what I wanted to do was train so I worked as a professional dancer and a choreographer, and then I really wanted to act, but I realized that that was a succession of communication, that I was really interested in going from this nonverbal communication and this language of the body that's very international. And I was like, you know what? I'm ready to talk. I'm ready to talk about feelings. I'm ready to express them. I'm pissed at that choreographer, and what is the story really saying? So I had a stint at an acting career and realized that I really love working with actors more as a director, and continued to choreograph and got into really fortunate situations working with a couple of amazing women who took me under their wing. I got into production and did very hands-on kind of training. I'd call it pretty sloppy. It was like, go. And I feel really fortunate that that those kinds of opportunities came. And yeah, TV
and film. Okay, production. Yes. Okay.
So it's music videos, and then that got me work on set on lots in LA. And then I got to come in when I was in New York. I worked on lots and film production a little bit in New York too. So I was just in the mode of yes. Like if you asked, do you want to do this? I'd just say, yes, let me learn how to do that. And eventually a couple of years ago, I received a few grants that got me specifically supported a transition into a career in filmmaking and directing and television. And it was through the use of the choreography, but ultimately it was specifically just for filmmaking and for directing and producing. So I've had my finger in a lot of sandboxes, I guess. And I think that's, play has really been very important to me. Like what keeps me going is just wanting to continue to learn and have fun. Remember to have fun at this crazy stuff we do. Yeah.
Yeah, fun's important. When you transitioned from being a choreographer / daytime job, and then you were also getting into acting, and then you realized you like directing actors more, how did you transition from performing into behind the scenes creating?
Part of it was that I needed work. I mean, that's the truth. I really needed work. Okay. And I wanted to perform, but I also, it was a time kind of like a COVID where work was really important. And I liked the people I was working on set with. And I have to say, I fought really hard for those positions. I feel like anything that I stepped into, I genuinely had a connection with the project itself. And I felt like because that connection to a project that I had an internal drive to work really, really hard. And then sometimes it was because I simply didn't want to let this team down of people who really invested in teaching and training me. But I think, there was also a lot of ego, and I was afraid to let go of that performer ego for a long time. And I was torn. I was very torn, and I didn't. And now I look back on it and I go, okay, well, no, I just see that ego as a different place. I think I was interested in as an actress in particular, more so than as a dancer. When I was acting, it was really, I wanted to book the job. I don't know. I just wanted to be seen, and I just outgrew it. I really don't care. Like if somebody were to say, hey, do you want to do this? I do it. I would love to do it now, but it's not, I have no ambition to pursue it. I really enjoy working on process with people. I really love, I had kind of an awakening. I realized I was directing a great show, and I realized, wow, my ego is really invested in how the cast feels. Like, how are they doing? How do they feel? Are they ready? Are they excited? Do they feel like they're as full as they can be? And that's when I realized, I don't even want that pressure anymore. I want, this is a lane I want to be in.
When you said show, you mean like a play?
Yeah, that time it was a stage play that I was working on. Yeah.
Cool. Thank you. I just want to go back a little bit in terms of like goals. When you started, you were a dancer, right?
Yeah.
You were a dancer, and then you transitioned into acting. Would you say you knew what your goals were back then, or were you still discovering and exploring what your personal worthy ideal is?
That answer changes for me over time. It changed over time.
Yeah.
I think in the beginning, I absolutely was single-minded about a dance career. I was not going to be deterred.
Yeah.
And then I think in sort of my own personal awakening, growing up, because that starts so young, I realized, for those of you out there who are dancers or something similar, you're an athlete, you're showing up kind of in this gym sort of a situation every day, you're showing up with the same people, it's very routine oriented. And I really felt like I had to figure out my voice. I felt like I really was drawn to the dances that I could put a narrative to. And I would get incredibly lost in the music, and I would get incredibly lost in the narrative that I would build in order to express it physically. So I was really, really into that. And then I thought, but I was terrified to use my voice too. It was a very, very uncomfortable transition. So maybe I got into acting almost like on some levels for therapeutic ways that I didn't even realize at that time.
Sure. Yeah. There's a huge parallel, right, between actors and therapists.
Can be, right?
Seems like it anyways. I don't know.
Yeah.
We're going to jump forward again. So now you've worked in film and TV. Then how did the opportunity to start becoming a film and TV director, producer, how did that happen? If you want to share.
Thank you. Yeah. Well, what really happened was I got super duper duper sick, and it was a few years back, and I got a flu, and the flu turned into an extreme situation, and I ended up in intensive care for 8 days, and to put it lightly, had a near-death experience. And it really, I really crossed over and came back, and I had an opportunity. Something inside of me just said, what do you want to do? Like, what are the things what do you want to do? And I can't remember if I had applied for a grant ahead of that or just after, like within 6 months or something. And I don't remember the chronology of it, but I just remembered thinking, what does anybody have to lose? What does anybody have to really, really lose? And, that's a big question for everyone to answer. And for me at that place, I just thought, nothing. I know where I am right now. What happens? I stay where I am. I know where this is. So what is it that I'm interested in? What is it that I'm interested in really diving into and exploring and learning about? And it just became very invigorating. I was really I was just like a magnet. Like I had to go in that direction. And I also felt like all these bits and pieces of my life that seemed kind of random, I actually understood how they all came together, and all these different parts of how I'd already been doing the work. It was just in a slightly different platform. There were slightly different components to it, but this is arguable. Somebody could certainly argue this with me. If I'm speaking in generalities, there were certain things I really needed to learn, and there were certain things that I'd already learned that were directly applicable. And I thought, there's a space. I believe there's a space for everyone. I really do. I believe there's a lane for everyone. I believe there's a space for everyone who wants to work for it and step in. And I just decided I'm going to go for it and see where this lands, just see what happens.
You had a major emotional impact, like
huge,
you died
huge,
and came back.
Yeah.
Oh
my hair fell out, my hair changed. I lost like 20 pounds, 17. And, and I looked in the mirror and I went, okay, I've seen death and I know what that looks like. So what do you want to do with this time and space here? Mm-hmm. And how do I serve? How do I serve my purpose? I think that there's more than one purpose. I'm not saying people need to believe in this, but for me, you have an intimate experience like that. You kind of figure some things out for yourself. Yeah. And I just felt like, all right, I'm here to be of service. And what does that path look like?
Right.
Let me walk it.
Mm-hmm. Right. It's so interesting because I have another guest who had a similar experience where that also showed her clarity.
Yeah. Yeah.
Clarity, right?
Yeah.
Well, I'm so glad you're here with us today. I'm sorry you experienced that.
On anyone. I really don't. I don't wish like all this craziness that we're all kind of dealing with. And the one thing I want to say about that is that I recognize that anything in life is 100% to the one person or the one, when you experience it, it is 100%.
Yes.
Whether that's an easy, I don't like to say good or bad, but if it's something that's a challenge or something that's exciting, it's 100%. And I don't believe in statistic because, when you're that one, it's 100% for you. So
Yeah.
part of what I feel is very important for me to bring to the work that I do is to bring this sensibility with me and to share it with everybody that wants to be a part of it, and to let that energy be part of the thing that makes the projects work, that makes the job easier, that makes the hours doable and worthwhile.
Yeah. Yeah. That's huge. Thank you. Okay, so after this transforming experience, you now know the direction you want to go. And like you said, you had some previous experience that applied directly, and there were things you didn't know. How did you get started? Were there challenges?
Oh, yeah, absolutely. We think the biggest challenge for all of us is to mentally get out of our way. To mentally say, I really believe the biggest challenge starts in our minds and in our head, and the things that we say to ourselves and the things we choose to listen to, no matter what we do in life at all, and I think that's important to pay attention to, right? So that when we decide to make big changes in our careers or in our lives, we've kind of figured out how to go, okay, get rid of the static, quiet all of that stuff down as much as possible. And I think that's a definite practice. And then there's space to put new information. I studied a lot. I'm very grateful for 3 grants that I received that were completely dedicated to all kinds of educational opportunities that I just really immersed myself in for probably 2.5, 3 years. And I just did everything I could and still do to show up. I think, just showing up and listening. And I think I'm giving you pretty daggone generalized questions. So I don't know, is there something in specific that I can answer for you with that? Because I think I am really willing to learn and listen. And, put ideas out there because they might work for somebody.
Yeah, that's cool. Clarifying question. I love what you said about all those negative voices or just voices that don't serve you or get in the way. And you said to, clear those out, and then it makes space. That's kind of a challenge, right? To clear out all that stuff. How did you address that? How did you get those thoughts to clear out, or at least slow down enough that you could open the space to hear more?
Yeah. Well, I can share with you that, I was hospitalized at a really decent hospital for 8 days. And during that time, I would say there was probably some hallucinations going on because of the medication that I was on and different things. And so, in fact, I thought, God, this would be a phenomenal animated film because I still have all of these images that I still vividly remember everything. And so that was a really interesting window of time because I was very aware of living between here and there, completely aware of it. And that still stays with me. So I still remember that experience. And then I remember healing. It took probably a couple of months. It took definitely about 6 weeks to be able to really walk again. And my big goal was to stand on my own 2 feet and to make my own decisions. And that we have to really be honest with ourselves and say, that's a lot for a lot of us. It's a lot just to say, I'm going to stand on my own 2 feet and make my own decisions, especially if at some point in one's life, they've been really autonomous or really the leaders or whatever that is, or the head of their household. I don't know, but I made room for silence. I made room for silence, and I made room for listening, just very deep listening and a willingness to not move ahead. Like a willingness to say, you know what, the earth is still spinning. I'm still on the earth, and I'm going to be exactly where I am because I am not ready to go there yet. And I think, having those moments that we've all had, probably anybody who's here or listening, or like we've all had moments going, oh my gosh, I might be missing this, or should I be doing that? And to be able to close your mind and just say, I am where I am, and I'm meant to be right here, right now. Like, I get it. It might sound kind of whatever, but that's what I did. I was like, I am where I am, and I have to be here until I'm ready to go to the next moment. It sounds so strange, but that's true.
Yeah, that's great. You were still recovering, right? But I know that sometimes just us as humans, we feel we need to fill up our space with tasks, things to do, or whatever. It's uncomfortable, at least for me, to go into not doing anything and really, really being okay with it.
Yeah. And not feeling guilty about it. not feeling guilty and not feeling like you're going to miss out or that you're letting somebody else down. It's an ebb and a flow. There are times in life where we can do that. And then maybe other times in life where we can do it in 5 minutes or 20 minutes, but I think it's the long haul where, for me, it's the long haul. What's the long haul? And not everybody is going to, I used to play hard and burn hard. That was kind of my motto, play hard, burn hard.
Yeah.
Play hard, work hard, period.
Go. Yeah.
It was 100 and 100. And I'm glad I lived that way. And I'm glad I can make a different decision. And I'm glad that people can make the decisions that are right for themselves too.
100%. Yeah. Thank you for sharing that. Okay. So now you have clarity. Then from there, did you know what you wanted to do? And how did you start taking action?
If I'm really honest with myself, I don't know that it's that I knew what I wanted to do, but I knew what I wanted to commit to. Maybe I had a sense of this project was something, project A or project B or project C were important for me to get involved in because of what I felt very protective of a project, or I felt there was something that I just felt like I need to be a part of this in order to make sure it gets to this stage, or, I can contribute these elements to it. And so I think for at least a while, those are some of the things that guided me the most strongly. It was a desire to contribute something in particular to a project more than, okay, I want to work in this genre. I want to work at this location. These are my big giant goals. This is the company I want to work for. So I might be coming at it backwards for a lot of people, but I believe things work out the way they're meant to. You work hard, but I believe the way that they're meant to. So yeah.
Yes. And this is your success journey, your success story. So it's what you did. So this is perfect, that it was that it wasn't, I'm going to go for a specific genre or a specific whatever. It's like you found projects you believed in, and it was important to you to contribute and get that project out. That's what it was. That was great. Is there anything you want to share or add with the audience in terms of a challenge or obstacle that you ran into other than your life and death situation? But something else that you've overcome, if you want to share, what that was and how you overcame it. That's the first question.
Okay. Should I start with that real quick?
Yeah.
I think one of the biggest challenges I had was that I got a lot of work as a choreographer. I think a decent amount of work as an actress. And there was a lot of, at that time, well, you're either one or the other. You can't be a dancer, a choreographer, and an actress. And I understand why some people would say that. But there were people that I could point to who said, why not? Shirley MacLaine has done it. Goldie Hawn has done it. Debbie Allen has done it. Okay, well, that's 3 people. Well, before them, there was 0, So I think that if someone tries to put you into a box, it's really important for you to know yourself, whether or not you need to listen to them. And I think that was a big challenge for me because I felt like, oh, well, then I have to stop doing this in order to do that. And I don't know if that's true or not. I know that still now my goal is 100% director, whether that's in film or television. But I also know that the choreography keeps coming up. And I know that my dance world keeps coming up. And I thought I buried it. And if it's meant to surface, then I'm really thankful for that. So anybody out there who's like, I think this is such a gorgeous time, because if you're a composer and you're a writer, my gosh, think of the things you can do with that together. Or you're a composer and a writer and a producer, or you're a visual artist. I think this is such a wonderful time because people are who they are and don't have to label themselves or fit into these categories. And I think that's a really, really cool thing. So I encourage people to own all of those strengths and all of those passions and to walk tall. And some days you might use all of them, and some days you might use one of them. And on lucky days, you have somebody like I have you today asking about these different parts, but they're your superpowers. So own them.
Yeah, we're multifaceted. We're not just one label. Yeah, I love that. Thank you. Yeah. And now at this point, what is your current goal that you're working on, your next goal, and how can we support you?
Thank you so much. In the immediate moment, I have a lovely film that I've directed and am producing called Mandy's Voice. And it is amongst the very first certainly in the US, in that things are happening very quickly in our society right now. But it is about a nonverbal young lady on the spectrum who's struggling to communicate and is working out her relationship with her mother in particular. And that relationship is sort of a mirror of her larger world. And so we're going out into festivals in 2022, and it would be amazing for people to check out mandysvoicefilm.com.
Yes.
And in the meantime, I am also I'm in discussion about developing a docuseries on a work that I created many years ago that's getting some attention. I'm developing that, and I am really looking. Thank you very much. Thank you. That's called Dream Body. And it's based on IP that I put out into the world many years ago, which I'm very excited about. And then I'm looking for scripts to direct and to produce. Yes. I'm open.
Great. Mandy's Voice, that's with a Y, right?
Yes.
MandysVoice. That's one way to follow with you with that. Second thing, IP. What is IP?
Thank you. Intellectual property. Nice. So that's based on a work that I created. Dream Body is the title of a work that I created for a specific set of performers. And I'm revising that and bringing it into contemporary times and going to do hopefully an international co-production on that. So it's exciting.
I love it so much. And are you looking for film or TV? Both?
I'm primarily looking for feature film. And I would say drama is my sweet spot, and pieces that have like real context to some of the social issues that we're all experiencing right now. Drama is a lane that I love a lot. I'm not afraid of dark and gritty. I'm not afraid of sexy at all. Take care of your script. If you want to send a treatment, that's fine. If you send a script, make sure you've copywritten it. I don't want any issues with that. So
don't send them unless they're copywritten.
Yeah, you take care of all your stuff there. And I'm looking for scripts to be able to direct and produce in the next year. I have a potential deal there that I'm looking for material.
I love that. And where can they send you their scripts? Make sure you're copywritten or a treatment, but where do you want to receive scripts?
Roxanna at roxannalewis.com. And I have a website, which is just roxannalewis.com. So there's a contact in there and people can communicate with me through that contact if that's easier. Just Roxanna Lewis. Yeah.
Great. And how else can we follow you? Is there anything else?
Sure. Please connect with me on LinkedIn. I am at Roxanna Lewis, and Facebook and Instagram are also at Roxanna Lewis, and Twitter is at _Roxanna. There used to be this awesome rapper. Yeah. I hope you've seen her film Roxanne. So that was the big thing. She has 13 versions of Roxanne. And so she was the real Roxanne. For anybody who knows that, then she's amazing. And so I'm the real Roxanne. Nah. Yeah.
Cool.
So I'd love it. I'd love people to say hello. I look forward to it.
Thank you so much, Roxanna. You have been wonderful. Thank you so much for sharing your story.
Amazing. Thank you for sharing your time and energy with all of us and your awesome questions.
Thank you.
And thank you for listening to the Actors Resource Podcast with me, Aaliyah Lay. I would love to hear from you, so email me, aaliyahklei@gmail.com, ALYAKLEI@gmail.com.